This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, football fans, and welcome to the Onside Kick. My name is Ricky Widmer, and as always, I'm joined by the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And I actually have Mark with me this time. No imposters like we had for the special video podcast, Mark.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy was. I don't know where you got him from.
He was just Sean was just standing in for you.
He came from somewhere.
Yeah, that was just something where we were kind of starting the podcast, and I goofed, and I said, I'm with the Mark Weber, and I'm like, oh, no, I got to do it. And Sean just looked at me and went, no, do it.
Like,
Dude, I like that. And then he went dub them ease, which he kind of said a little bit too fast, didn't have the right delivery, but we're going to be here talking. This is an entire draft podcast. We're sitting here on a Tuesday night recording the podcast. We're a little over a week away. Next Thursday, we're going to be sitting down watching the NFL draft.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to kind of, well, as a fan of a specific team, to see who my team takes, but also just to see some of the, oh man, that guy's fallen. That's my favorite thing ever. When a player starts falling, you love it.
Like Geno Smith.
When does it end? Geno Smith, Johnny Manziel, Brady Quinn. But those are the things that you love to see.
Colt McCoy.
Notice how we're really not naming any good quarterbacks here.
Brandon Weeden.
It's just fun. Oh, no. Brandon Weeden went right where he belonged, to the Cleveland Browns. But yeah, it's fun to see that type of stuff. I'm really excited to see who the Rams are going to pick with quarterback number 1.
I think we know. I don't think they know it all.
I feel like I know who quarterback number 1 is. It's just a matter if they are aware of it.
I think the Rams don't know what they're doing, but we're going to focus. We're not going to talk about the number 1 pick today. We're actually going to focus in on number 2. Browns fans, we're going to tell you what your team should do with that now highly coveted number 2 pick. We're going to be talking quarterbacks not named Jared Goff. I almost said Jared Wentz. Jared Goff or Carson Wentz. And then we're going to be talking Jalen Smith. Should teams pass on him because he could be done for his whole career before it even starts? But let's look at that number 2 pick, Mark. The Browns now are in the driver's seat. They're the ones that can get the king's ransom for the number 2 pick. And I say the king's ransom because they can ultimately get more picks and more, just in general, than the Titans got for number 1.
Potentially, which doesn't really make sense. It shouldn't be that way. And I don't really necessarily know that it will be that way, but I think they're going to say to any of these teams, you got to give us at least what the Titans were getting. And that's going to make things difficult. I actually would say, here's the thing about Cleveland. All right. All of a sudden, the Rams go up there. They get quarterback number 1. They can choose whoever they want. And the Rams, all of a sudden, who've always been said that they want Wentz. Wentz is their guy. It's the one they like. All of a sudden, they're going, oh, yeah, we like Goff, too. Yeah, Goff's pretty cool. We wouldn't mind having Goff.
I think both of them are kind of like that. We're like, with the Browns, it's always been Wentz. Now it's Goff. And the Rams, like you said, same thing. But to me, the number 1, and me and you may be in disagreements. We both think Wentz should be the number 1 pick,
yeah,
right?
Wentz is number 1.
Yeah, none of this Brandon Swanson shit where he was trying to talk to me yesterday about Goff. You guys can check that out on the YouTube channel. But yeah, I feel like Wentz is going to go number 1. Then it becomes to the Browns. Do you take Jared Goff or do you say who really wants him? And to me, if you follow me on Twitter, you already know my opinion, but I'm going to read the tweet that I sent out today so that the rest of you who did not see it can hear it. I said, I'm leaning towards the opinion that the Browns should trade the 2nd overall. It's a seller's market. Cash in on them picks. Yeah. That's what you have to do. Look at what the Titans did, and now the Titans have a plethora of picks. I know from firsthand because I went through 3 rounds in my last mock draft, and I'll tell you, picking for the Titans is like playing Madden. It's like, oh, you picked here, oh, you're back up 2 picks later. The Browns could have that and more.
It shouldn't be a seller's market, though, because this is not I just don't get that. And it should be obvious that the team that always drafts quarterbacks wanting to trade out should tell you something, right? This is not that great. I mean, honestly,
I think the leadership is better now in Cleveland.
For
That's
sure.
what we're seeing. Hugh Jackson is now the Wolverine is now saying we're not going to make a hasty decision.
But that's not what the issue. The issue is that trading number one. I mean, this Los Angeles Rams trade, sure,
shocked the world.
Carson Wentz could be the next big thing, but I'm pretty sure we're going to remember this as even worse than the RG3 trade. We're going to say, really, you traded all the way. My immediate reaction to this trade. I actually haven't been on a podcast or anything since this trade happened. So
no, you haven't.
My immediate reaction was, we have a no-name quarterback from a no-name school going to play on one of the biggest stages in the NFL, and that's LA. It just doesn't make sense. It blows my mind that that's going to happen. And yes, I know it's still a Division I school, although not the real Division I. It's like Division 1B.
Well, it's FCS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still technically a Division I school. Just nobody knows or cares. And they don't play with the big boys.
I will say, the one thing the FCS has that I like is an actual playoff system.
Which is
not
nice.
just like 4 teams that make it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't mean to insult Carson Wentz or anything. He's obviously a better football player than I am. But it's just... Although, I had my interest in college, too, to play football. I could have been a punter.
we all did. We all
did.
I
had real interest. They were like, you want to be a walk-on punter? What time's practice?
Oh, where was that at? Was that at Milliken?
No, that was at North Park University in Chicago.
Okay.
And they were like, you want to punt? And I was like, what time's practice? It was really early, and I didn't want to wake up, so I said, no, thank you.
It's like my dad, football. My dad tells me the story where he's like, he was, I want to say, a wide receiver. And in high school, he's like, yeah, I'm going to do football. And then 2 days rolled around and he went, fuck this.
Yeah, no thank you. I didn't want to wake up early. I was a college student. But anyways, yeah, it's just, it blows my mind that that's going to happen. Neither one of these guys scream. I mean, both these are first round guys, but they don't scream number 1, number 2. This isn't Andrew Luck out there. It's not even really the excitement that we got out of RG3, I don't think. But hey, it's going to happen. They're making that trade. So that's all taken care of. Immediately, I'm thinking Cleveland's going to say, great, our guy is gone. They can't take just the number 2. They can't do that. At least they have RG3. They have to really use the stopgap as a stopgap and just say, all right, let's go with the best defensive player on the board. That was my thought. But hey, if they can trade it, I say that's even better. My problem is, who the hell are they going to trade it to? They have one option to trade this pick to, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. That's it. That's the only trade option that makes sense. Because look at this. After Cleveland, it's San Diego, Dallas, Jacksonville, Baltimore, then San Francisco. San Francisco's not trading above any of those teams because they don't need a quarterback. You can look at my mock draft on there, and I'll spoil one thing on it. I did say that the Dallas Cowboys will go ahead and take Goff if he's there. Because they are going to need someone eventually, and they're a better team than that last 4-12 record showed. So they can look to the future. But nobody's probably going to take anything above San Francisco. So it's got to be Philadelphia trading above to try and get that quarterback.
I think it's going to be Chip Kelly has made ludicrous trades in the past, destroying the Eagles. I think it's the Niners going to make this trade. And the one thing I looked at, and I was looking at it now while you were talking, and actually finding this comparison, I wish it was the Chargers that needed this quarterback, because the way I see it, Carson Wentz, in my mind, Carson Wentz goes number 1, Jared Goff goes number 2. But Jared Goff, I think, with me, I think the Browns should trade the pick. So really, he's not going to go number 2. I am going number 2 to the Browns because in my mind, in mock drafts, I hate doing trades.
Yeah.
It's not
They don't
hard
mean
to do
anything.
it. It's just pointless to figure out, okay, what are you going to trade? It's like, just make the pick.
And
Just
plus,
make the pick if you're in a mock draft.
when you do a mock draft, a lot of people just go, yeah, this trade can happen because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
There's no consequence.
But here's what I think is going to happen. Wentz goes 1 to the Rams. Jared Goff goes number 2 to Team X. I'm going to say it's the 49ers because I think they have the management, the only management that's stupid enough to give away everything.
But why do they need to?
Here's what I'm comparing it to, though. 1998. That's all I have to say. What brings to mind when I say 1998? I'll give you a hint. He just retired.
You're talking about my Peyton?
Peyton Manning went number 1. Ryan Leaf went number 2. The Chargers were the 3rd pick in the draft. They traded up to number 2 for Ryan Leaf. That's why I went, like, just finding this out now and putting the dots together, I wish it was the Chargers that needed a quarterback. Now, am I saying that Jared Goff is going to be as bad as Ryan Leaf? No. But I think that this whole situation has this same tone written all over it. And I say that is somebody's going to trade up for Goff, and he's not going to pan out.
Yeah. Well, I can agree with that. I honestly don't think either one of these guys are going to be that great. I think that Carson Wentz can become a Blake Bortles, a Teddy Bridgewater, a guy that kind of eases into this fairly good quarterback, not great quarterback.
I'm going to go one step above that and going to stay with the good, not great theme because this quarterback hasn't won a playoff game, but I think he could be the next Andy Dalton. And the reason why I say that is I've looked at, you can go and find Andy Dalton's draft profile from ESPN and then look at Carson Wentz's, almost like you're looking at the same one almost. Yeah. Similar height, weight, all the grades that they gave them, eerily similar. It's like you're almost looking at the same draft. Like if I put them up, blind resume, you wouldn't be able to know who was who. That's how close these two are.
The problem I have with that comparison is Andy Dalton came on hot, and he was good that rookie year. He was good right away, and Andy Dalton has not cooled down really. But
well, he also has A.J. Green.
Oh, that certainly helps. But I think for a guy like Carson Wentz, I think he's going to ease into that success if he has it. Goff, I just don't think he's going to get success. I really don't think it's going to happen for him. Part of it, too, is L.A. is a better situation. Now, I don't think L.A. was as in good of a situation to trade everything for this guy. I mean, they're putting themselves back about 3 years right now, and they're in a great division, really competitive.
I agree with the sentiment that you had to make the pick to make the splash of new city, new town.
I think that's LA, bad management there.
L.A., we got to make it big. Plus, Jeff Fisher and I can't remember the guy, the GM or the operations guy for the Rams. Ram fans, let me know who I'm talking about down below because I just can't think of his name. They're on their last year or close to their last year, so they know that their jobs are on the line. They need a guy that can help them win right now. But I think with the Browns, like I said, perfect situation because you're sitting here going, you can be basically, you know what? We have one guy in mind. If the Rams take him, it's exactly what you mentioned earlier in the podcast, or I can't remember if you mentioned it earlier in the podcast or before we actually hit the record button. The Browns can basically, with Team X, Eagles, Niners, whatever, the Cowboys, if Jerry Jones is crazy enough fantasy football owner to make that trade, the Browns can basically put a trade in place and say, you want this quarterback? We promise that if this quarterback is there, we will trade you the pick. If it's the other quarterback, we're going to take the quarterback.
Yeah.
They can do that, and that's what I think they should do. Sit on that one quarterback and then trade if the other one's there, or just say, fuck it, we don't want either of them. We'll sit with RG3 for another year and get a ton of draft picks because I'm telling you, there's a quarterback coming out next year called Deshaun Watson who's going to be pretty damn good, and he's going to be in this situation next year.
Yeah, and Cleveland probably will be in the same situation next year.
They always are. Sadly enough, they always are, because RG3 will probably get injured 5 or 6 games in.
It's a good chance.
No pressure, no diamonds, literally.
I just think that it doesn't make sense for San Francisco to make the trade because nobody above them is going to take that quarterback. The only one who might, like I said, is Dallas. Dallas will think about it because Jerry Jones is thinking about that quarterback. And
he's crazy.
And they like Goff. They actually do like Goff out there, and he would be loving to have him.
Okay, and for Goff, that's why I'm going to spoil it with your mock draft because you have so many quarterbacks going in just round one. Goff would be perfect for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because basically what they could do is to compare him to another Cal quarterback. They could Aaron Rodgers him.
They could
Have him sit behind Tony Romo. Yeah, he may get thrown into the fire because, Romo may get injured. But they could basically say, hey, sit behind this proven veteran and you'll have your time in the sun.
I mean, that does go with my mock draft really well of saying, because that's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's going to be in Dallas and he's not going to, Tony Romo can get hurt and Goff is not going to see the football field. They will go in with 3 quarterbacks and he will be quarterback number 3. He will never play because they're going to do exactly that. They're going to try and let him just sit and learn. But the only thing that makes sense to me is really Philadelphia. But the problem for Philadelphia is they really don't have that many picks.
No.
It's one of those situations where I don't think they have what it takes to make this happen. They got to do this year's first, next year's first. They might honestly have to do 3 firsts because they just don't have seconds this year. And they'll have like 1 second next year, if I remember correctly. It's just not, they really don't have the value. Some people are saying, well, if they're going to go draft a quarterback, they don't need Sam Bradford. Maybe they could trade Sam Bradford. But does Cleveland need Sam Bradford and RG3? No, they don't need that. Maybe they could take some other players off of their hands, but there's not that many great things going on in Philadelphia.
Here's another reason why I think the Browns should ultimately, I lean more towards just trading the pick outright and not caring who falls to you. Mainly because in my mock draft, I really see, and this is just a first round thing for me, I really see 3 quarterbacks. You've got the 2 at the top, and then that third, if the Broncos at 31 say, fuck it, Paxton Lynch is our guy.
Yeah.
That's to me.
Or the Cardinals.
Yeah, but I don't see. The Cardinals, to me, can wait. They don't need to take that quarterback at 29. And I say that because the Browns, at 32, if they really wanted to, could trade the second overall pick, get a first still pass on a quarterback, and most likely take Connor Cook at the beginning of the second. First pick
if they like Christian Hackenberg or Hackenberg, whatever they want.
Hackenberg would come in with whatever extra picks they would get below that, but they could day 2 get your quarterback and let him sit behind RG3. You don't need Wentz. You don't need Goff right now. You need, to me, for a team that is, especially with the guy from the Mets that they hired, the Moneyball specialist. So trading for picks is great for a baseball guy.
Oh, for sure. I think that's kind of what this is coming from. So we both agree that they should trade for picks.
Yeah. I think it's going to be the Niners, though, because Chip Kelly's crazy.
Let's say it doesn't happen. They don't trade for picks. Do you think once is off the board, do they go with the quarterback? Do they go with Goff?
Yeah, I think they're... Would I if I was in Cleveland? Yeah, because I feel like you'd have to, because you're at the point where it's like, you know what? RG3's the stopgap.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but he's a stopgap. I mean, he can say no pressure, no diamonds, all he wants, but he's a stopgap. He's enough to make people go, okay, he's better than nothing. And I mean, Brian Hoyer is out there, and there's a chance that maybe the Browns say, fuck it, let's go with someone else and
let him compete.
Take a Brian Hoyer, but I would love to say, yeah, the Browns would go with like Bosa or Tunsil, especially like a Tunsil. Okay, let's protect RG3, but the Browns, if they don't trade the pick, the Browns make Brown moves, and that's draft quarterbacks.
I can't imagine that they go for Goff because they didn't want the guy. I think it's a total smokescreen to say, yeah, we do want Goff because they want someone to try and make that trade for him. Because then they can always pull the, okay, yeah, we're willing to trade, but we really want Goff. We want Jared Goff. We really do. So you're going to have to make it really worth our while. I think that's what it is. If they can't do it, I say they don't go and get that quarterback because they've never been reported to really care that much about the guy. I think they will go with a defensive player. I personally, check out my mock draft, I'm saying Joey Bosa. I think he's back into the fold. We've gotten over the fact that he had that slow time. I think we can move on from that.
Which I don't know. I
think that's the better move.
I still have Buckner rated higher as a defensive end than Bosa, but I think Cleveland would fall in love with Bosa more than Buckner because Buckner's more of a 3-4 guy.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely, I think that Joey Bosa, unfortunately, has just kind of been forgotten about, and people are kind of putting a lot of other guys over him. And I think it's going to be kind of...
Hey, he could fall to your Bears. He visited, visited Chicago
like he's
today.
going to fall to 11. But it's just that thing where a lot of teams are going to pass on this guy. If the J.J. Watt comparisons are accurate, and I don't doubt that they are, if any team who passed on J.J. Watt could go back and get J.J. Watt, they would do it. So you're going to pass on this guy again. A lot of teams are going to be regretting that later on, I think.
I'll tell you, there's a handful of teams. I'm not going to tell you exactly where he went. You got to check out my mock draft down below. But there's a handful of teams that passed on good old Joey Bosa in my mock draft. But tell us down below what you guys think. Should the Browns trade the number 2 overall pick, or should they draft a quarterback? Should they go defensive player? What do you think they should do? Tell us down below.